Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all to the knowledge session, which is primary topic is a business growth through AI and ML. So this session is not about that getting too much at technology of the AI ML, but primarily try to look at that how do you can get the business growth powered by the AI ML. This is one of the technologies powering it, right? And with Chat GPT is coming in actions, I think lots of the actions people are expecting to do on the AI ML and especially in the banking. So that's not on the topic for the today. Maybe we'll have the discussion separately. Okay, so before that, just some of the faces may be known to us, but some of them may not know us. So first I'll introduce myself and then I'll introduce my other panelist, Vikrant, to introduce. So guys, I'm Shashank Shekhar. I take care of the consulting business at the Digital Fifth. I started my career with L&T Infotech and then moved on to Wipro, where that primarily both the technology company. I was primarily taking care of the technologies advisory and the cyber security and the compliance related advisory. And worked primarily in the BFSI segment across India and the Middle East, where on the various activities from technology strategy to architecture to the cyber security frameworks and all this thing I've been working. Then I moved on to join the DCB Bank, where I started with the compliance head, governance head, and then moved on to start managing the complete infrastructure, and then taking a responsibility of the digital banking, and then where that I implemented the open omni-channel framework, and then moved on to start managing the open banking. And one of the last assignment also, I was handling the setting up the entire analytics setup for the DCB Bank, where that my team and me, we are involved into setting the big data based framework and build that lots of the use cases around that. So that's then. Vikrant, can you just quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. Vikrant here. Good afternoon. I'm working with Digital Fifth as a principal consultant. So prior to this, I was working with Ujjan Small Finance Bank, working as a national manager for digital IT initiatives. Prior to that, was working with DCB Bank. I have got lots of hands-on experience in DCB Bank for implementing digital payments, digital banking related projects. Prior to that, have been a hardcore developer working into Java, SQL, Oracle-based technologies, and been following up digital for so many years into this space. Yeah.
Okay, so let's quickly just now quick intro for the Digital Fifth. We are a fintech and digital consulting startup in the country, and we started somewhere in 2017. Okay, started by Samir and then me and others joined in. I don't want to bore you with that, but our journey has been taking at a massive pace. And in the last this year, we just concluded Bharat Fintech Summit, one of the India's largest fintech event after the GFF. Okay, so we have been doing the assignments, consulting assignment within India and across the other globes in the different part. So I'm just rushing through. These are some of the marquee customers that we have been working. We have worked in the past across the consulting, the training, and all the other engagement that we have been working with them. Primarily core services, we do the consulting where we primarily work on the digital and fintech advisory services where the digital is setup that has to be done. AI study has to be built, the blockchain study, and all these things are primarily more from the digital advisory and the go-to-market planning. We do lots of the trainings, both in the B2C space and B2B space that we do training. We do hiring services where we got recruitment, and we do lots of the work in the partnership. In the consulting, again, quick, we work into the digital advisory space, open banking, fintech and startups, security compliance, and digital research and content management. So across the thought leadership that we work into, and we work primarily in the BFSI segments. So that's all. And then this is our training space where that we do lots of training in open banking, digital lending, digital payments, embedded finance, not listed AML, and blockchain. Also, we do lots more training, and we have done the corporate trainings for various customers. You can see some of the names here. Okay, so we have a core executive certification programs. That's about B2C, and the key product that we do that where that introduction of fintech, product management, open banking, digital lending, digital payments, and other fintech segments being taken care, AML and blockchains, as well as the entrepreneurship that also gets covered. Primarily, the structure of the program lies as that me and Samir, Vikrant are there, but also we get the mentors, like it could be the fintech founders, the AI analytics head of any company, or the digital head of any bank and they come and share about their experience. We also walk into the placement assistance, focus more into the use-based learning, where that primarily as somebody like coming and talking about that, how they have set up that entire the AI framework, right? How they build the different use cases. Like some examples, Flexi Loan, the founder came and talked about that, how they use the analytics to streamline their entire the lending processes. So that's where the use case learning happens. And the participants come from the banks, NBFCs, fintech startups, enablers, consultancy, insurance, different, all the segments that's there. We also have launched a certification in AML and the blockchain, but how it's differentiate from the industry is primarily focus again on broadly in the use cases, the strategy, business side of the focus of the AML, and the mentors. We try to bring up the guys who have done the implementation of those AI analytics frameworks and how they have built the models. What are the best practices that need to be taken care? That's been taken care both on the AML and the blockchain. So that's a primarily quick introduction, and this AIML blockchain training start on the 16th of April 2015. You can go to our training website and you can get the lots more details. And then hiring services. So with that, I don't want to take much time. I think already taken 8 minutes out of it. So now we just get into knowledge sessions that we have planned for, and all you have to thank you all for coming to us and be part of this knowledge sessions. So today we are just short sessions. We are going to focus on what are the use cases, really the banks that people are using for AML, areas where the banks and fintechs are leveraging more of the business growth. We also try to give you a strategic view, like how you can build the AML strategy within your entity, be it on the bank, NBFC, or anywhere that you are working, how you can use this framework to build that complete AI strategy. Maybe you are already in midway of your journeys, or you're just planning to start, or maybe just very initial stage, right? So that framework can help you to replan that strategy. And what are the best practices that you need to be taking care of it? So I think we all know that, right? This is just a statistics to talk about it. Like volume of data has been growing massively. Like the way you look at that, especially after the COVID, also our engagement with the digital interfaces have grown up, and that's where that more of the digital engagement happens. The digital footprint gets generated. It leads to the data generation. Like look at the case of the UPI. Now the UPI is almost like 300 million of the transaction a day. 300 transaction data points is getting generated on a daily basis. That's itself is a huge kind of especially when you start looking from the financial perspective, right? Banking and finance, it's a huge amount of data. The loans and all this thing, everything is getting digitized. So everything is generating lots of the digital footprint. So it says that 90% of the world data was created in the last 2 years, and every 2 years it is expected to grow double size, right? That's a huge data. So power of the data is continuing to grow. If you try to look at that from the banks or any financial institution perspective, what are the different data sources, right? That's just a very short one single view. I try to look at it like you will have the data on the core banking platforms, like where the customer accounts get opened, entire the transaction history, and all the relationship is being maintained. For the insurance, it could be the core insurance platform, it could be the wealth platform, it could be anything. So the examples of the banks that I've been talking about. The loan management system, where that customer has been completely onboarded and the entire the loan history, loan stories have been maintained, right? The payment system, be it on the UPI, be it on your NEFT, RTGS, IMPS, BBPS, AEPS, all the platforms which has been there, including now that NETC, the fast tags, everything generates a huge amount of the data which can be exploited, understand the customer personas. Then you have the digital channels where like mobile banking, internet banking, WhatsApp, SMS. These are again, you're generating a huge set of the data. And why I'm trying to talk about these different set of the data, because many times when you're building the AI framework, it gets very hooked to that. Okay, let's look at the core data sources, because that's a source of data truth, which is the core banking, and your entire AI study may revolve around that. But its data footprint within the bank or any financial institutions goes beyond the core banking systems, right? The website also is a good interface. Like you start looking your analytics, that what kind of people are coming, where they are spending time. Those are self-generates and a good insight of the data, and then you can start correlating that what they are doing on the other side of that, where that if they are customers, what they are looking into that, right? So then call center and the branches where the customer interacts, and that interaction itself is a great data point, right? Let's say even look at the voice kind of things. Now, using the voice analytics, you can do that, understand that kind of emotion that customer may be talking about. You can look those data points as an attrition kind of the indicators, like customer is not happy, And then you can correlate that kind of the data in the backend with the customer's transaction is dropping up, right? So if the customer transactions are dropping up in the call center, in the voice, the customer is looking unhappy, definitely the chances are that customer is pretty unhappy and he may be on the verge of closing the account. So everything can be looked at as from the data perspective. And now the banks and the financial institutions are going deep into the third party and and fintech partnership. That's also interfaces generates lots of the data points. So you can look into that perspective. While these are the internal data sources, you also now working with the lots of the data enablers, data entities, where that you take the data from the external sources, like it could be account aggregator, the bureaus, the GSTs, the Ministry of Company Affairs, and all these things, where that you try to collect the customer information. Just look at that, what analysis you can do combining with your own internal data. Well, these are like more like structured and kind of the banking related data, but nowadays this, because of the AI/ML power is increasing, the alternate data is also becoming very critical, right? Where that you may be partner with some third party, you may be working with a third party entity where that they help you to generate some kind of the data which can be used to analyze the customer personas, right? Maybe the customer behavior and all this thing, and that can be used into various banking product journeys. So these are the different data sources. Just a snapshot, it could be more and more, right? Well, all this data is in combinations, and all these things can be created to generate very multiple kind of the use cases, which could be the risk profiling, so generating the kind of the risk that each individual customer may be having, the from the retail perspective, from the business perspective. You can help it to the customer experience, like as I was talking about example of the call center, you can look at that where the customer grievances and all this thing, you can add the value to the customers. Or say, for example, in the mobile banking, the customer is there and you can provide the spend analytics kind of thing, and then can do the kind of the nudging to that kind of the spend analytics. So any things that you're trying to build on the use cases, you are trying to create a call to actions kind of a structure, right? Then customer communication, you can use lots of the AI/ML thing to customer communication. I think loan and credit decisioning, as a lot more work has happened. Banks are using these data sets primarily to analyze the data, okay, to help into make the credit decisions. Process automations, you can do lots more use of the AI/ML to process automation, chatbots, and chatbots are, especially I think after ChatGPT coming, I think it's expected to go to the next levels for sure. Personal finance management reconciliation has been also quite long been there, where the data analytics has been used. Cybersecurity and the fraud detections, like these are again a critical component where that lots of the AML are being used to analyze and identify some of those fraudulent elements or the security elements can be there. Like portfolio management, early warning signal. Look at the early warning signal, the use cases with an account aggregator data. I'll just try to put it like, say, for example, you take the customer recurring concurrence from the account aggregator. And I'm sure I'm not getting into account aggregator, but you can refer to our YouTube channel where that you were talking about account aggregator, right? So account aggregator data is like, say, for example, recurring concurrence that you have taken, consent has been taken, and your customer has been given, let's say, for example, 10 years of the loan, certain EMI is getting deducted from his account. Now, when you start taking the data from the account aggregator from multiple bank account that he may be having, and you are trying to analyze on a month basis that what is his average balance, right? And you also can create a pattern that how his rolling balances is moving over a period of the certain periods, whether it's coming down or it's going up. If it's coming down, it raises the alarm that tomorrow it could be possible that he may come into the situation where that his balances comes down. It's he may not be able to pay the EMIs. So now this various data are emerging which can be used to analyze in the early warning system, but these are just a snapshot on the iceberg, the top of the iceberg, but lots goes behind that. Now look at the different AI/ML. If you just try to look at the modern business, I think different kind of the AIs are there. The sensory AI, like Internet of Things, and some of these interfaces could be gonna use into the lots more in the financial segments as well, like sensory AI, like wearables and all these things, your smart watches and all these things. That's also generates lots of data. Physical AI may not have much of the insights, but could be in possibly some of the data points can be used, which can be used in the banking. The general AI is the high precisions, where that primarily that they are able to predict more better, explainable and cognitive. So these are just the broader side of the AI. Again, just a quick look on the how the maturity scales for any organization within the banks. it goes through, and it takes time to maximize the benefit out of your AI program. It doesn't happen that you start doing that implementation today, you have done put that lots of the infrastructures, and you're able to maximize the benefit. It doesn't happen. I know that various of the banks who have put the multi-crores of the investment into the entire framework of setting the AIML and still not being able to maximize that, because it takes time. It requires its own maturity to go through that. So initial maturity, early stage where that you are setting up, you may be trying to build up lots of the internal reports, the regulatory reports, and all these things, quite focused to some of the individual operational activities, right? But slowly then you start moving from emerge to a mature stage, which takes 4 to 8 years kind of the times, where that you start building the various kind of the use cases, right? You start moving from the various insightful dashboard. You can start getting deep into the different dashboard, start breaking down, start getting into the deeper of the insights and all these things. You start setting up your data warehouse, data lakes, kind of the infrastructure and the big data kind of frameworks, like, and start making the decisioning better for each of the team. But when you call as a matured step, when the AI will start contributing to the business side of it, right? Where it start helping you to start generating the revenue, start adding to that extra delta to the revenue structure. That's where you start feeling that you're maturing and your value goes up top of the things on the curve, where that you are maximizing the values, like strategic systems are being used, scorecards are better than scorecards are there, some actions can be pulled it out, right? A scalable integrated system. So that's kind of the graph is there, where that you slowly move, but you can see that your investment may start coming down, but your values can start going up, right? And then you get to a stage where you're driving and you're leading the market, right? And every banks or every fintechs or every startup will like to look at that, how do data can be maximized, build it as a part of your digital strategy. And as we know, that digital is a kind of the component to the business strategy itself. Like, so how AI can be powered to maximize your business strategy, right? So that's where your growth objective should be. Again, it's just an expansion of the previous slides across all the different business unit, across some of the use cases I've tried to break down. So this like our customer journeys monitoring, productivity tracking. You can start doing that. Sales guys productivity tracking, the branch productivity tracking, channels productivity tracking. Everything can we start looking into that. Various matrices, spend analysis, like for each individuals, branches, customers, every interface who can do that self-service can be done. Risk management, I already talking about that, where the lots of the works is currently happening. This is more like a productive, right? And it's more like a kind of the cost elements, where that you are optimizing the cost, but it may not be directly the revenue generation, right? But you start looking at the customer experience, where you start generating the revenues part of it, where that how you can create the personalized the nudges, that where the customer can get that able to buy the certain things, like, and it has to be very powerfully connected to your AIML. I give you an example, like I use one of the bank's credit card, and I have a certain limit of, let's say, for example, 1.5 lakhs, and I keep on getting a regular communication that, okay, your limit has been extended to 5 lakhs, and kind of things. But if they try to look into the my data analytics, they could figure it out that I have not been using more than 30,000 to 40,000. So instead of increasing my limit, they should look at that, how do I maximize usage, which can go from the 30,000 to, let's say, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000. That's where the focus should be there. These are the typical challenges that are being felt when banks are trying to define the use cases. But just looking at creating the personal nudges without power of the analytics, it may not help. So that's where you need to define, and it has to link with certain action, where the customer takes up action and then it's able to manage the certain things, right? Omni-channel orchestration. How do you can manage that omni-channel offers prioritizations? As I say, like, you keep on getting the multiple offers, but how do you make sure that these offers get consumed? And also making sure that there is the fulfillment process has been embedded into that offers or the recommendations when the customer is trying to consume. I think again, operational excellence, again, these are the use cases primarily help you to optimize the cost. So always the business, when you start looking in the business growth, one is that try to increase the revenue, another is to try to optimize your cost, right? And one of the key factors always will be cost to income ratio. So how do you able to hit the cost to income ratio? While again, these are again cost element, but product and pricing, how you can use the relationship pricing, better pricing structure for the customers, revenue leakage. These are the elements that can be used. So just a snapshot where the banks have been using, but it's not been extensively being used. But I think banks are into the path to maximize that usage, right? So if you look at it and try to plot in the time map, earlier it was like pure historical trends and the root cause analysis. Like data always used to be analyzed and generates the kind of the historical trends, like, okay, how the branch has been performing, how that particular product has been performing, right? Now, but look at the current state, it is more like a transactional analysis, the reporting, MIS, dashboard, these are getting automated. So that's probably the one, again, the major focus. While in future and already, which already started taking place, is more of the predictive analysis, like revenue generating opportunities. That's how I'm talking about. Like, if the customer is having a certain behavior, can I give him more, right? And can the customer will be able to buy more, right? That's where you need to put it, your analytics to work on it. So that's where the future gonna be there, and that's where that you start maximizing your benefits out of it, right? And to make it happen, you definitely need to build your better data structure where the data cleaning plus modeling has been taken care, and the AI layer has been built on top of it, right? And look at the multiple data sources where that always I keep on telling that you look at all your data sources, because every data sources will have a different kind of the elements, different kind of interpretations come out when you start analyzing standalone as well as in combination of others. So it's very important that data sources are blended and fed into the AI models, right? So it can't work on a standalone basis. Okay, this is a bit of technical side of it, but this is just a structure that typical analytics guy and the more of the architecture guys would love to look at it, where that you have the certain input data coming into that, and output is primarily that you're generating the models, right? And in between, you are looking at what are the data patterns, the relationship between the multiple data sources. Look at that, what could be your hidden data structure, the data dependencies, right? And then on top of this thing, you're building your entire algorithm. And that's where your business use cases has to come very categorically and look at that. Is it impacting your cost? Is it impacting your revenue? And that's perspective, you start building those algorithms. I'll just quickly touch upon what few of the use cases where some of the banks have been successfully able to deploy AIML more again from the business perspective, try to drive the business. So if you try to look at the entire the banking population, entire the population in the country, and then try to filter it out, what could be the customer that you need to target about it, right? And that's a start working out that you may have a certain percentage of the population that you need to work on it. Now in the certain population, that how you able to work it, that customers go to your website, go to your mobile, and able to log in and able to create that kind of buy the products, right? So for example, this was more on the card applications, right? And the bank has able to put that kind of structure and kind of the journeys that has been put and analysis has been done, where the customer, by using the different alternate data and all these things, card get issued successfully within sort of the time, and then it's more like a pre-approved kind of credit card, and they're able to increase the credit card business by almost 30% in the given time frame where they employed this use cases. And some of the places also they have been trying to walk on to different other lending products where they're trying to analyze the existing liabilities set of the data where that customers is having that information. Then definitely the bureau score, but focusing on the very alternate data. And again, I was talking about the alternate data coming from the different locations, like your mobile apps is using, and you're able to get that alternate information, as well as some others like getting the information for e-commerce side, some risk scores or simulators that you're using, and which start giving you the data, transactions data, vendor data, mobile different data, telecom, UPI. These are the different sort of the data, satellite, farmland data. So these are the different set of the data are being used and putting that entire the AIML frameworks. Okay, and then where that you start learning, able to get the insights where that you can take an action, and it can be plugged into any journeys to start making the better use of it, where the customers able to start buying or buying more or buy the new products within the organization. So that's where the use cases are there. And I think they are like there's an access where they're able to enhance their entire the chatbot experience, because if you try to look at the real chatbot experience in the country, especially in the banking apps, it may be really not up to the mark, right? They probably keep on throwing some of the links and all these things. But I think they have been able to do a decent job into that context where they're able to plug in lots of the services by using some of this analytics to understand the customer behaviors based on the interaction the customer is doing, also pulling the data from the backend and then analyzing the backend data, merging with the chatbot structure and make the customers able to do the certain transactions. So these are some of these actions which is being taking place. So these are like what's happening in the industry, what kind of the use cases. Now it's a very short sessions. I try to give you a kind of insights, but if any questions, I would love to pick it up before I go into the AI/ML strategy part of it. So how do you go about, this is like our kind of framework we are happy to share with you. Okay, so any questions, guys? Okay, hope you all are with me so far. So it's
Hello.
not like that only I'm
Am I
talking.
audible?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, sir. My name is Tushar, and I'm working in Arts and Finance. It's a NBFC firm.
Yeah, hi,
So,
Tushar.
hi, sir. So, I'm working as a management trainee. I have just joined this company.
Okay.
You have told about the data collection part and implementing it with the use of AI and ML. So, implementation part of I mean, how can we implement it from the initial point of view, if I talk about. So let's take an example. If I'm working in this organization, so how can I implement this whole scenario?
So, Tushar, so very important point. So, in fact, that's the next part that I'm going to talk about. It that how do you can go about the building that frameworks, be it on the you are starting or be maybe in the midway. So, how the entire the process that you should look at it. Maybe working with a larger team and then drive that building of the entire the AML and maximize the use cases. So, I'll just talk about it. So guys, now it's still the mid of the sessions. Will be so my team will be putting the feedback link in the chat box, chat of window of Zoom itself. Request all of you to share your feedback. It's very critical. It always helps us to keep on improving our knowledge sessions. Akash or somebody just put it the feedback form. It's already there, and now I'll just continue. And also, now it's nothing conditional kind of thing, but we will share with this deck, whosoever has shared the feedback, because it helps us to align the sharing of the decks better. So no conditional, but it's we just do that process. Okay. So look at that. Okay. So another strategy, another framework, right? How to go about it. So that's always a challenge, right? So look at that a quick step process, the 5-stage process, as Tushar was also pointed out, that how to go about it, right? So definitely one of the first critically important step is that you try to look at your readiness state of the AI. Where do you use the full? Because it's not like that an organization may not have anything. Basic MIS, every organization exists, right? So you need to assess your AI readiness. But also at the same time, look at that what's happening in the market. Like redraw your AI landscape. Like what are the happening in the industry? That's very critical. And then also it's important that what kind of positioning, what kind of the results that you're looking from the AI, that's very important, right? It should not be open-ended kind of thing. So what are the business strategies there? What are the digital strategy have been there? You need to align it that what they are trying to achieve, how the AI can contribute into achieving that. So it's very important that have to have that AI positioning. And then you start building the complete roadmap that how you're going to go about it. And then definitely you need to start acting upon it, the roadmap, right? So you need to have the full focus on the strategy side of the AI. So it's very important that look at the strategically, right? You can't stand slow as a technology project which has been deployed, and then you let the others decide that how they want to use it. You can't do that. That's why it's important that you bring the strategy view to that. And it could be complementary to digital strategy, but it's always also important to have an independent thread with complete alignment to digital strategy and the business strategy, right? So while you are building the digital strategy, you may be able to build that AI strategy as well, or you may build separately. Will digital strategy is already been built, but make sure that there is a complete alignment. So it's work in the both the scenarios. So when you're trying to do a digital readiness, AI readiness study, so what you're trying to do that, right? You're trying to look at your business strategy, what your context that you are working into that, what is the economic environment, what is the revenue, revenue on the support uses that AI can contribute to. So that's also very important that you need to look at your context, where that you are going to work on it. Then you need to draw your competition map. You need to look at that, what my peers are doing, what like this industry is always a good source to understand that where the good use cases have been deployed, right? Who are, how people are using those data set, because everybody will have the problem state, different problem statement, but there will be some kind of the similarity, some kind of the learnings which can be picked up, right? Then look at your channels and alignments, like how the channels are in alignment, how the data interaction can be built on those channels, right? Whether the customer is mobile, so he may have a different data analytics, data interfaces, right? While on the web, you may have different interfaces. While ATMs, you can't provide the spend analytics on the ATM. So you need to look at that, what are the different channels and alignments are there, how the analytics can be deployed. So that's, and currently it's more like a current state assessment. While you're doing that entire the tech side of understanding, but also start looking at what is your AI and the data maturity within the organizations, like what kind of data quality exists, because there lots of the challenges may start coming, that data legacy systems have been there, some kind of migration has happened, some kind of the data, missing data will be there, some kind of the wrong data entry will be there, and all these things. So those are the things that you start deciphering during the process of this study, right? And then you look at what is your data strategy, data governance, data models. So that's when you are trying to assess the maturity, and then technology readiness. Like, do you have the data warehouse? Do you have the kind of a data lake structure? If you don't have that, how do we analyze the data? It is on the core system the data analysis happen. That what kind of the modeling tools do we have, the AI tools, and or we don't have, right? Or we are just using some kind of standard tools for the analytics. So these are the things, and more important from the infrastructure perspective, because the data volumes is continue to increase. You will keep on bringing the multiple data sources into your frameworks. Are this entire infrastructure is scalable, elastic, reliable, right? So that's where you need to look at it. So this probably help you to understand your AI readiness. While you are doing your internal assessment, then it becomes also critical, as I was talking about, look at the market, right? When you're building this roadmap, so you look at the customer's behavior, and this is very important because customers are getting very comfortable. Customers are looking into that, how you can make their life easier when you start providing him the better insights of their finances, right? I would love to why some of these wealth platforms are making a good inroad, especially in the fintech, because they're able to give a better insights about their finances, right? I would love to see that where I am spending, where my spends are going up or down, kind of things, right? So customers are getting more comfortable with the analytics, but they want an ease of understanding, ease of interfaces, right? So that's where you start looking at the engagement experiences, and you may not only look at your banking perspective, but also you start looking at that how the data engagements are happening on the other platforms. Like, so it could be the e-commerce platform, it could be the OTT platforms, where the data are being used as creating that nudge, right? So that's where you start looking into that. And also on the parallel, since some of the regulatory frameworks also pushing the use of the data, right? It could be the account aggregator. It is also the data empowerment and protection architecture, which also provide a control framework for the data usage. Upcoming the digital data protection bill, which may allow you to share the data among the parties, right? But how do you use those data with the consent structure of the customer? So you need to also very cognizant of the regulatory environment, that how it's changing. While at the same time, you start looking at the market dynamics, like what are the different competitive use cases are building, maybe from the banks, maybe from the fintechs, maybe from the any other non-financial institutions, right? What kind of innovations are taking place in the market, right? Lots of innovations are taking place. ChatGPT is a classic big innovations coming in the last couple of months, right? What are the different participating ecosystem? Because in this whole AI/ML space, you may not work as standalone, right? You may working with lots of the partners who can be party to your journeys, and where they may help. So you need to look at that, who are the players, right? What are the trends? What are the kind of partnership you can build? While also at the same time, you may have to also look at the org structures, right? So that's where you start looking at the market. While I move to the next step, again, my sincere request to all of you, there is a feedback form has been put in place, and request everyone to please share your feedback. It's always helpful for us. And also anybody who wants to get to know more about our upcoming training programs, There is a training website link also. You can go and visit and get lots more informations. Okay, so first step was, as we are talking about, primarily to have an inner understanding, internal organization standard understanding. Second phase was to look at the AI from perspective that what is the market understanding. And third input is where that you're creating your AI positioning within the organizations and in the market, right? How you want to look yourself, right, in the industry. So you're looking at like, okay, I want to be known as the AI-driven data digital transformation. These are like symbolically some of the pointers have been put in. I want to plug in the AI into all in my product portfolio, the customer segmentation. I want to look at the data-led business growths are there. So these are like factors that you are looking, setting a goal, setting a vision for the AI for use in the next 2 to 3 years, right? So this is also very important. While these are more like a visionary kind of a statement, but also you will try to set up the transactional KPIs, right? Okay, I want to improve like up to certain percentage improvement in attack or the fraud, which will help me to reduce the cost. While also I want to have some kind of the added percentage to increase in my business due to data marketing structure, right? Or say 40% upscale I want to do in the cross-sell and upsell powered by the AI, right? Or say I want to have an impact on the business ratios. It could be a cost to income ratio or anything else, right? There are again symbolic some of these pointers, but it's also important when you're setting your AI study, AI journey within the organizations, you should define some of the KPIs, right? So now look at that, try to correlate that you're able to understand your internal structure better, you're able to understand the market structure better, you have already set the goals, then primarily it helps you to set up the entire framework in one single place, right? And that's where you start building the complete AI roadmap. So with this, I'll request Vikrant to take it over from here.
Turn off grayscale color filter.
But before that, any questions, any inputs, guys, before Vikrant start on the digital roadmap? And anybody has any questions, you may put in the chat bot also. We can pick it up. And again, we'll continue to request you to provide a feedback, guys. So Vikrant, please start, and I'll mute myself. And
yeah, thank you, Shekhar. So going forward, during the implementation of rather developing a AI roadmap becomes very much important when you are trying to indulge such kind of strategy into your organization. So it becomes very much important to give importance to each of the aspect which builds this strategy all the way. So starting from the inner models of like data frameworks, so what are the different data frameworks you want to work upon? What quality of data is being considered for the data framework? What are the different sources that is being considered for? What are the different products from where this data will be getting? For example, there will be products like internet banking, mobile banking. Since open banking is also at the at the cutting edge in the India banking ecosystem per se. So getting data from the neo banks and the participant, or the you can say the partnership models per se. So getting that all the data in and building the data framework is the first thing which will be looking into, along with building the business models which have been there. I mean, when you get the data, you will be able to get the insight on the customer, right? So building the business models on top of that, utilizing that data to build a cross sell and upsell based business models, the process reassessment and automations, building business KPIs, financial models. This is where the AI and ML, particularly artificial intelligence, helps a lot. These are the few, along with the business model, the enablement of technology, where you can have what sort of technological arrangement is being looked upon. So it will be flexible cloud or hybrid infra, again, big database, or it can be EDQ based, where you can have flexibility from their point of view also. You have also the data ingestion tools which can be considered. There will be analytical modeling tools which will be considered. The visualization layer, what sort of visualization layer is being considered upon. So these are the few pointers which you will be getting into consideration. So which helps you to to align the digital initiative and create the marketing positioning per se. So there will be, the collaboration with the fintechs, aligning skilled and having resources who are skilled enough and who are passionate to build something like this will be one of the factor again to be considered during the roadmap. The organization silos and the data-driven culture building that one also becomes important here. So maintaining prioritization among these activities, documenting all the objectives, because if you don't have proper prioritization, although the initiatives are good, but due to lack of prioritization, that may fall into the cracks, right? Having documented objectives definitely helps, because that gives the vision where the organization is heading into, and keep reminding, for what all these initiatives are getting done for. Having strong governance is one of the factor which helps to understand that where exactly things are going, and it also gives to extend the control during the in the organization to follow the roadmap, and make sure that everyone is stick to that roadmap and all are moving into one direction. And definitely the time matters, right? Because unless although initiatives are good and all things are also in definite matter, but if it is not delivered in the time, it may fall behind everything, right? So yeah, these are the few things which are being considered as a part of developing a roadmap for the AI. Yeah. So on the AI, while deploying AI strategies, there are primarily these four steps which we see are to be considered mainly. So implementing an AI solution, so where you will be having the actual implementation going into the solutions which have been come as a part of all the earlier groundwork which has been done. Then once the implementation is done, maintaining the monitoring aspect becomes very much important, where you do monitoring of all the solutions which have been implemented, whether those are giving the required inputs, and whether you are able to reuse those inputs as growing, to the growth of business or not. So monitoring that performance is always helpful. Having staff or the resources train on these factors, how to implement the AI solutions and how these AI solutions can be useful, is definitely one of the factor which needs to be considered while deploying the strategy. And basis of all these strategies are needs to be scalable. So need to refine our strategy time to time. May need to visit the strategy and look after the strategy, depend on the market dynamics and other variables which may impact the defined strategy earlier. So that needs to be refined, and the strategy needs to be revamped if required. So there,
Vikrant, we have a question. So, so I think we have questions from Dilip. Okay, so he is asking, how can an organization look at the competition data to create their own strategy? So you may not able to use the competition data, right? But you may able to get a good insight that what competition is doing into that, right? Let's say, for example, today you may find a good source of information on some of the banks' websites where that you may able to understand that what they're doing on the AIML, right? So that will help you to understand your competition data use cases. Like these are primarily one. Well, other side, if you try to look at the data, but that's maybe still coming from your own internal perspectives, right? The internal data sets. So let's say, for example, you are trying to analyze your customer own banking data, and you may able to figure it out certain patterns which all the banks is doing the transactions, and what are the different kind of the transaction, and can you create a business model or some kind of the call to action against those data. Like say, for example, I'm using one bank and where that my loan is going on, taking a home loan, but the EMI deduction happens from the other loan. Can the bank look at that EMI deduction and can figure it out that, okay, he's so that banks can push me and can look at that, can you do that loan transfer, right? So you might get able to do the kind of the analysis on your competitions from your own data. Like for example, UPI transaction analysis. you may be able to figure it out that customer is doing lots more routine transactions from some other accounts, while you are more like a kind of the interfaces. So can I look at the customer to make it that my account as a primary account? Another example, it could be the account aggregator, right? Account aggregator is a classic case where that when you're building the strategy, can you go into your mobile banking app and you yourself launch and a kind of the use cases where you start take the consent and try to provide the entire spend analytics across all the banks to the customer, and then start using those analytics to create some kind of the products which may be working on your competition data. So today, account aggregator provides that kind of opportunities. Is there any other question, guys? Again, I keep on taking time to time. Sincere request to all of you to share your feedback. Only we have got some 9 or 10 feedbacks so far. So it always helps us to keep on improving. So everybody loves feedback, right? It's very important. So again, sincere request, please provide the feedback. Thank you. Vikrant, please continue.
Hi, Shashank. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shashank, Vikrant. Hi. It's wonderful topic, and the flow is going very smooth. I have a question. What you recommend for this kind of this kind of implementation, whether it should be cloud native or it's like on-prem? In your personal opinion or as a professional opinion, how you will define that?
So I'll take a punt on this question, but it's quite a kind of a very tough to give a straight answer because it depends, right? So certain places where you're like so core banking data and all these things are there. Banks are pretty, especially if you're coming from the bank side. While from the fintech and all this thing, everything is running from the cloud and your entire stack is in the cloud. You would like to have your analytics stack on the cloud also. But from the bank's perspective, because the regulatory challenges and all these things are there, now the RBI has never said no percent, but definitely you need to be having better control of your data, right? So you will try to have a mix of the framework where the cloud as well as on-premises structure can be used. But today's the technology structure is so much easily kind of the available, which can make provide you an opportunity to do the analysis on both the workloads, right? Or the data loads, being certain portion available on the cloud and certain data available on your on-premises. So there's no straight answer to that because you may not like to move the your core banking data and core system data to the cloud. So even though you put some analytical model on the cloud, but you will have to run it on your premise data structure, right?
Right. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah. Okay. So moving forward to the, I think we have one more question from Dilip.
You can pick it up.
Yeah. Okay. So from an investment perspective on AML generally, in your experience, what percentage is scaling and what percentage of is for technology infrastructure? So it's both are mix per se. So you may have both will be coming in a joint collaboration per se. So there is no fixed percentage as such, and again it depends on the which part of implementation we are talking about. So that becomes the similar percent. But definitely the technology infrastructure sometimes may get higher depend on the data you are trying to indulge into. Yeah, moving on to the best practices for the implementation of solutions per se. So this has been divided into the three parts. Like on the data side, the organization needs to have large, high quality data sets to implement the AI and ML. So that needs to be the first priority among all. Then the data needs to be organized, structured, and labeled to ensure that it can be effectively used to train and test the AI models. The reason the training training of models is essential. Like the veracity of data, even the variability of data. May affect the performance of the AI and the results which we get through AI. Hence, it becomes very much important to effectively this data needs to be used to train and test the AI models. On the infrastructure part per se, and in organization needs to have the robust IT infrastructure to support data storage, processing, and analysis per se. So this also includes high performance computing systems, cloud-based storage solutions, and specified hardware which will be helpful to train and deploy the AI models. On the resources, that is talent per se. So the implementing the AI and ML requires a team of experienced data scientists, machine learning engineers, also like other experts who can develop and also can implement the AI solutions. And they keep building on these solutions or keep refining the strategies as we mentioned earlier, so that there will be a continuous improvement plan for the strategy per se. Yeah. On the governance side, as we mentioned earlier, so maintaining the governance on like this, all the initiatives which have been created is much more important, because this ensures that the policies, procedures, also the data privacy, security, and uses of AI, which have been there, those have been done ethically and responsibly. So there are no wrongdoings which will be happening, which again can cause trouble to the organization. That needs to be taken care of. On the strategy side, AML strategy, needs to have the clear digital strategy per se, that gives the role of AI and AML during the achieving particular business objectives. That does help for the growth of the strategy, as well as for it will have the clear place into the business objectives. And this also includes defining use cases of AI and identifying the resources those are required to implement and maintain the solutions. So there in use cases what have been identified, that needs to be clearly documented also, which will help the resources which are working on those use cases to have better idea about the use cases, and the implementation will be smooth during the period. On the investment side, this requires good amount of time, money, and resources per se. So organization must be committed to making these investments, so that the development or the implementation of effective AI solutions can be done more effectively, and the investments also do take place into this. So there are few lapses and loopholes can be there, which have been seen so far. Like as we mentioned, the best practices come from the learnings only, right? So these are the few learnings uh, which have brought us to document the best practices. So having misalignment with the business and strategy and goals. So that mentions that the not having properly aligned business strategy, not defined clear goals, not documented clear goals, may sometimes become a loophole for the implementation part of it. Not having a proper execution approach. So that also sometimes theoretical takes this or does not help, right? There you need the execution approach. So that's where if that approach is not there, it will the strategy then lands into the papers only. So lack of required training and resources, that is one of the main factor, because the training and training to the resources will definitely help to ramp up the speed of the implementation, as well as the refinement of all the other all the other strategies and implementation plans gateway that do also depends on the trainings and training of the resources. So, not properly tracking or monitoring services, that is one of the point which we mentioned with the governance also, because continuously monitoring the, you can say the progress of the path of the implementation does definitely helps out where the implementation is going and what are the different ways it is going to land up to. Having MIS and reporting requirements, this also definitely helps. So that definitely will give the perspective where it is going. So not having properly change management strategy, it is one of the point which needs to be taken care of. Yeah. Yeah. So lapses and loopholes, another part of it, like a lack of good data framework, data quality, lack of having control and vendors and partners, mix of AI, ML technologies, lack of support from the top management, having budgetary constraints, etc. Definitely hampers the implementation per se. So these are all things we do cover in detail in our workshops or the courses per se. So would like to help here out on that part. Yeah. Yeah. I would just like to give you perspective on the coverage which we are going to take in our courses, so that it will be helpful to connect where we are discussing on. Yeah. Yeah. I hope screen is visible. Can anyone confirm from the participants?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, it is.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, hi friends. This is Srikanth here. I'm part of the Digital 15. So I'm sure Shashank and Vikrant would have given you a high-level perspective of the of how AI/ML can be harnessed in the BFSI segment. And this is precisely, and I also take care of the recruitment services at the Digital 15. You know, we hire for a lot of entities. We see a lot of requirement coming in for data analytics guys, AI/ML, you know, people with AI/ML skill sets, blockchain skill sets. Precisely the reason why we have launched these programs to help professionals like you to upgrade, upskill yourself, and then be ready for these kind of opportunities. So anybody who is interested, we have already shared the feedback form. If you can fill in those and reach out to us, we'll be happy to connect with you and then see how you can be a part of this program and then gain a understanding, and we also be ready for the job market. Any questions on the program? Happy to answer right away also. Answer this ChatGPT thing.
Yeah, I think there was one question from Harsh Agarwal, like what are the successful use cases of ChatGPT you have witnessed so far, and what areas do you feel this technology can help in moving forward pertaining to the fintech industry? So, in my opinion, what I see is like the information gathering and taking logical decisioning on top of that is something ChatGPT is working on. So far, haven't used it into the practice per se, but so far as an exploration per se, whatever I have used, I feel it. It needs few of the training material, so that will be helpful. But still, again, I mean, it's the something which needs to be trained and modeled so far. So maybe as Shashank mentioned, we'll try to take some separate session on this part as in the future also. Yeah, so there was a question from Karthik on any ethical and regulatory challenges to AI, and so how do we overcome and or address them on basis on the experience. So so far I haven't seen it because the implementation was been in the closed environment and within the regulatory environment per se. But yes, we'll definitely connect with you, Karthik, to understand more of this part. Yeah. So, in case of any other queries, would request you to please put it in the chat, or we can chat also. I mean, we
I
can.
think you can ask directly the question now. It's a Q&A session. So if you have any queries, you can directly ask him.
Also, would like to request that please put in the feedbacks also so that it will be able to have the date which has been presented here. Yeah, Ajay.
All right, if there is no other questions, we'll end the session here. Once again, request you all to share the feedback and we'll share the deck with you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.